Thursday, October the 18th. Lake level's about 908 and a quarter. It's actually come up about a foot since last week. And the last few days the water's been starting to go down. We got a bunch of rain last week, brought the lake up, which needed a bunch of that water. But water temperature, this morning it was like 63, 64 degrees. It's been cooling down good. Fishing's still been really tough. Little Gizmo's all wired here. But fishing's still been really tough. I've been at Bull Shoals throughout the weekend and, I guess from about Wednesday to Sunday last week. Yeah, get over here. But anyways, the fishing over Bull Shoals is about the same as what it is here. They had a champion tournament this weekend. And I think it took 15 pounds to win, which was good. But then second place was like 7 pounds. It was just one boat out of, I think, 80-something boats that the guys actually caught them. And they had a federation tournament. And 2 days, it took very little to qualify. There were several different little tournaments going on. But the way I've been catching them and, how I caught them down there at Bull Shoals this past weekend, my better fish are still coming shallow. And I mean dead shallow. I can't emphasize enough how shallow they are. I did have cloudy, overcast conditions throughout the weekend, but I've been catching them on a spinnerbait, a topwater, and a crankbait. Now today we fished here, and we had 40-mile-an-hour winds, so we did catch some drop shot fish early till wind got up too much where we couldn't hold on any open water stuff. But the drop shot bite, it's still tough. It's not a real good drop shot bite. But we did catch 3 keepers, which 2 of them were in 3-pound range, real shallow here. It was about 10 o'clock, and not a cloud in the sky, and as far back in the pockets and the creeks as you can go. And today I caught them on a spook, and this is what I've been catching them on. Is how I caught them last weekend on Bull Shoals. And I don't think it matters what color. Vixen will work good. Any kind of walking bait, but I've been using, it's an old Zell Rolling spook. It's got 3 hooks on it. And a Vixen is a lot like a spook if you can find them. What's good about them is they also have 3 hooks. Now, I know a lot of guys that I was competing in on the tournament there at Bull Shoals caught them on a buzzbait. Well, I could get the fish to swat at the buzzbait, but I couldn't get them to eat it. Maybe I wasn't throwing the right color. But on the crankbait, what I've been throwing is a little Strike King Sexy Shad. It's a 1.5. And on the spinnerbait, I've been throwing a few different colors, but the one that's been working best for me, I think they call it, I sent my wife in the Bass Pro the other day to pick them up. She ended up over there getting them. And it's a mouse. It's called a hot mouse. Is that what it is? But that seems to be working, pretty good. And also a blue herring will work good. And you want to run a trailer hook on it. And, I'm basically throwing this thing right up on the bank. Now, both lakes, the water's been crystal clear. I don't know exactly what these fish are doing up there that shallow throughout the day, but they are there. And they're mixed, some Kentuckys and largemouths, but mainly largemouths. And the good thing about it is when you get a bite back there in that shallow water, it's usually always a keeper, and it's a little bit better quality fish. I mean, right now, a big fish is 4 pounds or so. That's what's been being caught in the tournaments, winning big bass pots. So, anything in the 3.5 pound range right now is a good quality fish. And it's not just so much here on Table Rock. It's kind of like that throughout the country in the fall. Them fish get into transition, but as the water starts getting a little colder, we'll start seeing some more bigger fish. And the Alabama rig is starting to catch some fish. I caught a couple down there in practice at Bull Shoals, and I've heard some people catching them here a little bit. But also I've got some friends that have been catching them. It's a day-to-day thing, but they've been catching them on a Carolina rig. And they've been catching them from about 18 to 25 foot on main lake points where there's the channel comes up against one side where it's got a good little drop. And they say the baits that have been working best for them is like a chartreuse pepper or a watermelon red has been working good. Now, a bait that I like to throw this time of year in the fall is a Zoom It's like a Lake Fork ring fry, but I think it's called Zoom makes it, and it's called a dead ringer. But Lake Fork Tackle also makes one called a baby ring fry. And it's just the same thing as a French fry, but it's just a little bit fatter. And the weight size, I'll use anything from a 5/8 to a 3/4, depends on the wind and how deep I'm fishing. But for some reason, the Carolina rig seems to be catching a few more fish than the football jig. The jig bite, for the last month has been really sporadic and tough. It seems like the fish are biting that Carolina rig out there in that offshore structure a little bit better. Now, a lot of the bait today, we found, I think a lot of the reason the main lake drop shot bite and spoon bite is getting tough, that a lot of the shad that's been out there on the main lake, some of it's starting to migrate back into the creeks. And today, just kind of trying to get out of the wind, we got in the center of some of the deeper creeks, and we found some shad and fish out over them deep trees. They were really finicky to try to catch, but we were able to catch a few. And something to keep in mind too is that wiggle wart really should start coming into play here pretty quick. That water gets below 60 degrees, around 58 degrees. There ought to be a lot of things starting to turn on. Should be more fish moving up shallower. So until next week, good luck, good fishing.